All right. Well, first off, I mean, what a weird day before the game even started, hearing the news about Kobe. You know, our basketball community, I mean, I try to put myself in their position, and I mean, Kobe to them is what Michael Jordan was to me. You know, it's an example, somebody that you kind of probably pattern, if not your game after, the way you compete, you know, and how you want to hold yourself to, just the ultimate competitor, and obviously one of the best athletes ever. And to learn of his passing was shaking, you know, kind of just a unnerving news to receive. I heard it during my radio interview. Ron Callan told me I hadn't seen it until then. I was like, you'd be kidding me. And so obviously heart goes out, his family, and those who know him, and I know some of the Oregon players know him, and so the Nike community knows him, of course, and so the basketball community, it's a sad day. And we addressed that as a team before the game, of course, because the rumors were spreading and they had heard. This has been, in a big sense, a crazy month so far for this team. Not only are we playing the hardest schedule in the history of the Pac-12 this year, and I swear it is. I'd like somebody to prove me wrong on that. We've also lost two other key members to our community, you know, this month, and well, that past month and a half. We had two memorial services that we all attended here across the street. Two significant people to our program passed, and so that was before our Stanford and Bay weekend. And then this is just another reminder. That's what we talked about, the fragility of life and perspective. And so, you know, I preach all the time, it's bigger than basketball, because it is. It's obvious when you really think about it, as big as we make these things. And so on a day which is, you know, a sold-out arena, one of the days you certainly circle on the calendar every year, you know, we had that heavy dose of reality right before it started. As for the game, I mean, you take that court, what an environment. You know, so proud of our program and everybody involved, their program and everybody involved, to create atmosphere like that. I've been asked, what does it mean for women's sports in the general sense, and I mean, all you got to do is pay attention and you see great things. The game's not broken. Clearly, the game is amazing, and these athletes are amazing. The coaches are amazing, what everybody does. I mean, that's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets. What an incredible weekend. And so give Oregon credit. You know, they made the plays. That third quarter tonight today was clearly the difference in the game. Their athleticism on the boards. I thought that was it. You know, their defense was tough all day long. You know, they made life hard on us. It was hard to get looks in this game throughout the game. But their offensive rebounding, I thought, was the difference in this game. We got stops. I mean, I think we made them shoot the second lowest percentage they've shot all year, or close to that. You know, both from the field in general and three-point. We made them miss, but you've got to hold them to one shot, you know, and Ruthie was, you know, just so tough on the boards, and so you got to give them a lot of credit. Then obviously they made the plays down the stretch. Jazz Shelley's three was probably the dagger, you know, in this game, and squelched our comeback hopes in the fourth quarter. So really proud of our group. We've got a long ways to go, though. You know, this is the toughest stretch anybody's going to have in the country this year that we just got done with. But now we turn around and go play Colorado. You know, on Thursday night in Colorado, had a chance to beat Stanford a couple days ago, you know, down there. And so there's no off nights. And so for us, we talked about after on the court, you know, heads up. You know, we lost. It hurts. We got beat by a great team. We've got to keep getting better. And so rest up, come back Tuesday, ready to go.
Aaliyah and Mick, before the game, you guys came together with Oregon, and I think Ruthie prayed. Can you tell us a little bit about what she said and what that moment was like? And for either of you, was Kobe really influential or anything like that?
Yeah, right before the game, a lot of the Oregon players, you'd say, were shaken up a little bit and were teared up. And for me, I know a lot of our teammates, not sure if they knew, but I didn't know. And so we came together, and Janessa started off by praying for the family of Kobe and everybody who knew him really closely. And then Ruthie finished off the prayer, and just we want to know that we were there in any way we can to support them and to support his family. Did you see anything else that was said during that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kobe was huge influence for all of us. Honestly, he's been my favorite player all growing up. So yeah, what he did for women's basketball alone was huge. He had his own AU team. He had daughters. He was coaching up. So he was a huge voice, especially in the women's basketball. He was at games. He supported female athletes just all around. So hearing that news, it was upsetting. I was talking to Steve, and I didn't know about it, and he mentioned it, but it wasn't confirmed yet. And so hearing that was really heartbreaking. So it just showed that us coming together, these two teams, in such a huge game before the game, it just showed it's way bigger than basketball. And hearing that news, we wanted to be together. We wanted to say a prayer just for everyone who's been touched by his life. And yeah.
Scott, you mentioned the toughest schedule in the history of the Pac-12. Now, do you mean Oregon State has had that, or the balance in the talk? Explain what you meant by that.
Well, I'd like to see somebody's schedule that's tougher. I mean, I just think our schedule this year, the way that it's been built, with, you can consider the fact that we have, Oregon twice every year, first off, and then we've got the Bay twice this year. We're at UCLA, only once, but at UCLA, not here. We've got a short week. Both times we play Stanford, one less prep day than they do. We got a short week, which is weird, going to Colorado, which we have to travel on. That's a strange thing. So it's just the way it fell. I mean, I know that they, put it together before the season every year. It's not like we can look at next year's schedule right now. It's created. And so it's just the way it fell. ESPN certainly had a role in that, which we don't want to turn down ESPN, of course. But it does put, it does change game days, which shortens up weeks sometimes, and in one case lengthens a week. And so, I mean, it's a heavy load. If you look at who we just played, I mean, over the last 3 weeks, my goodness. I mean, at Arizona State, Cal, Stanford here, and then the Oregons. And so, and here we're off to the mountains, which is obviously a very tough trip. And so we get home and we got the Arizonas coming in, and so you think about the level of this conference, the toughness of it, and then the teams we play and just the way it fell this year. So this team's going through it, and so I'm proud of them for the way they're handling things. It's not easy to lose, and this is a program that's not used to it. We've lost, this is our fourth Pac-12 loss. That's the most we've ever lost in the last 6 years in conference. And so to go undefeated the rest of the way, to match our best schedule with a team that we're a pretty good team, and so speaks to the conference, but it's also just the way things fell, So the adversity that they've faced over this last month, I couldn't be more proud. But not the character's being tested, but they're being tested, by the circumstances. It's making us tougher, And so I like the growth I'm seeing. Our best basketball's ahead, but it's been a challenge.
Scott, first 15 minutes of the second half, it seemed like you had trouble getting quality shots. What did you see?
Agree. They did a nice job on us. They came out and really dictated things, I thought, second half especially. First half had a nice flow to it. I mean, the first half was fun. I think both teams would say it was kind of fun. Second half was just so choppy. It was strange. I mean, we were clearly in foul trouble. Some odd things. So I don't know. It was just choppy. And they limited us to one shot. They did a great job on the defensive boards. And then they got second opportunities, which put a little pressure on us for sure, gave them a little extra incentive. And I thought they had a lot of energy in that third quarter.
And then the foul trouble, did you sense at all that your players were maybe a little less aggressive as the fouls were piling up? Or, did you see that at all? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I would think that it would have to be a little bit, when you're playing with four, it makes things a little tougher. I saw Mick back away from a couple things that she would normally go for, and, so it's just, it's interesting. I mean, we foul, I think we're third in the nation in fewest fouls, so we're typically never in foul trouble, and so it was a little adversity, that I probably should have expected.
Yeah, Mick, just to follow up on that, I think it was a 2-point game when you got your 4th foul with about 2 minutes left in the 3rd. How difficult was that for you at that point? Did it change the way you had to play the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think when you have 4 fouls, you have to be more careful, just more mindful of where people are. I know I play as hard as I can, and sometimes a little too hard if people are around me. So I got to be more careful and not putting myself in that position to get 4.
Scott, what was your message to the team in the locker room after this loss, looking forward?
I haven't been in there yet, but I did talk to them on the floor. You know, I just said, keep your head up. You know, I mean, it's not fun. I mean, we've never lost to Oregon here, and so it's not fun, you know, going through something like that first. You know, and the second half wasn't too much fun for us. So, perspective. We did a lot of good things this weekend. Let's keep learning. Let's stay hungry. Let's get better. So rest up. See you Tuesday. Be ready to go to work.
Scott, Kennedy is really important to you guys, and she does a lot of good things, especially on the boards and defensively, but she is really struggling to shoot the ball. Is it in her head or is something wrong mechanically with her shot?
I think she's just adapting to the speed of the game. I think that's the biggest thing for first-year players coming in. You know, this conference is, part of it speaks to the level that we're playing at. It's not like we're just playing anybody. We're playing some really good teams that scheme you correctly. The timing that they do things matters. The scoreboard matters. You know, and so I think it's just part of the game. It's just getting comfortable. You know, she's got a beautiful shot. I've watched that 3 go down for 4 years watching her, you know, and so this line's a little bit further, and so she's playing on a massive stage, you know, gaining experience as she goes. And so, you know, I think with each player, you try to help them speed up their shot to make it as efficient as quick as possible, so that they can always be in a relaxed state, you know. And so we've worked with her on a couple little fine-tuned things, but I think, you know, I mean, I believe Kennedy's going to be a 40% three-point shooter before this is over, so it's just a matter of time.
Scott, can you just kind of talk about how difficult it was to not get the usual production from Destiny, and, you know, outside of Mick scoring double digits, no one else got to that figure?
Well, I think you got to give them credit. I mean, they did a nice job on the inside in this game. You know, it was hard. They gapped us well. They stayed in front of the ball, and you know, that forced us to shoot perimeter, and we didn't. You know, I mean, I don't know what Destiny shot, but she didn't 1 for 7 from 3. I mean, and part of that was desperation. I know in the fourth quarter. But I just felt like they kept us out of rhythm in general. And so, yeah, I'd like to have, you know, 6 people in double figures, you know, but that didn't happen tonight.
Michaela, you gave Sabrina a hug before the game and said something to her. Can you say what that's about?
Yeah, I think Aaliyah may have right before the game, but I know we went to the captain's circle and we just were there for her and gave her fist pound and said, "We're here for you." But I think, did you give her a hug like right after? Yeah. I know Aaliyah and her closer, and so she was there for her.
Coach, even with back-to-back losses to Oregon, do you feel that your team is stronger now after facing probably the hardest opponent that you may face all season long?
100%. 100%. There's no way not to be. You know, we got to see some things this weekend that they do that other people have not yet. So we've got new material basically to coach from. We were challenged in different ways. We played in front of, you know, 2 crowds that will be unmatched, you know, the rest of the way. And, you know, once you get in those environments, you see those things. The next time around, it gets easier. You operate more efficiently. Some things were exposed this weekend for sure, you know, because of the talent and experience on their roster that, you know, force us to grow. And I thought we grew this weekend, and that also gives us some great film to teach from, you know. So this rivalry, I mean, playing great teams like this, you only get better if you handle it well, you know. And so this team is just hungry to be great. You know, I mean, I look at them, they're just competitors throughout the roster. You know, we're growing. We're still not executing at the point where we need to beat a team like that. We're just not quite there yet. But I believe we will be, you know, before it's over.
Same kind of question for the players. When you have 2 games like this back-to-back playing against a team like that, you don't get the wins, but Do you grow and move forward from that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, after this weekend, we're going into Tuesday with some amazing film. Just being able to look back at these games, like Coach Scott touched on, I mean, we're going to sit down, look, see what worked, what didn't work. We faced a lot of things that we haven't faced before. So yeah, obviously we feel like we have grown a bunch, but we still have so much more to grow that it's honestly exciting, just the potential this team has.
Mick and Aaliyah, on that note, as Scott pointed out, you guys haven't experienced this before. So I'm curious, why are you so confident that you're going to be able to figure it out? Have you been talking to older players, maybe who have graduated? Have you been having conversations just as a team? Like, this is new territory for you, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time Leah and I have lost 4 out of 5 games. But I think we just believe in this program, believe in our system, believe in each other, and we know there's going to be adversity along any journey, and so we'll be ready to continue growing and be the best we can be.
Yeah, I mean, we do have obviously a pretty vet oriented guard group, so we have been through battles. I mean, last year we went through the same thing with, obviously it was 1-1 last year, but we've been through big wars. So just kind of pulling the younger players along and just staying together. We're a family. We win together, we lose together, we learn together. It's just super important that keep our heads high, know that we're gonna be fine. It's a game. We're gonna learn. We still have a lot to do. We all have the same goal in mind. We all have the same mission. So we're gonna come in Tuesday. We're gonna be hungrier. We're gonna know what it takes to win these games.